Welcome back, friends. Today and for the next few episodes, Mike and I will have the privilege of looking at Proverbs 10. Welcome back, friends. This so I liked the way Micah left us with the spousal imagery, and so we are now in that second part of that outline. Actually, both of them. So the author is Solomon. When was it written? Well, we recall from our discussion from Proverbs 1, and there's a link in show notes that shows that the setting itself is written during the royal kingdom phase, around 1000 BC in that time frame. But we do realize that this could have been written over much, and actually we don't. It was written over a much broader uh, time frame with a Solomonic uh, world perspective. Okay. So yes. So to go into salvation history, I think we covered that a little bit. Salvation history. So there was the royal kingdom, and there was Saul, David, and Solomon. That was the united time point. And Solomon, I was just reading his with the Queen of Sheba's visit, and she was just so astounded. Here, let me read a little bit from the Queen of Sheba. When the Queen of Sheba witnessed Solomon's great wisdom, the palace he had built, the food at his table, the seating of his ministers, the attendants and the garb of his waiters, his banquet service, and the burnt offerings he offered in the temple of the Lord, she was breathless. The report I heard in my country about your deeds and your wisdom is true, she told the king. Though I did not believe the report until I came and saw with my own eyes, I have discovered that they were not telling me the half. Your wisdom and prosperity surpassed the report I heard. Blessed are your men. Blessed these servants of yours, who stand before you always and listen to your wisdom. And here's the, if you will, the money quote. Blessed be the Lord your God, whom it has pleased to place you on the throne of Israel. In his enduring love for Israel, the Lord has made you king to carry out judgment and justice. Then she gave the king 120 gold talents, a very large quantity of spices and precious stones. Never again did anyone bring such an abundance of spices as the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. And that's from 1 Kings 10, 1-10. So I was reading that this morning.
Perfect.
So that is Solomon. That's Solomon in his glory days. And unfortunately doesn't state, he doesn't tend to the Proverbs he tells everybody, right? Isn't that the deal? That knowing something and doing something are two different things.
Yeah, he always seemed to have it so figured out. And then I think it's that age-old adage of power corrupts in a way, where I think it can just get to your head, and he forgot the wisdom of humility.
Yeah. I think 300 wives and 700 concubines.
Right. That sounds stressful.
Sounds a little excessive. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the structure of Proverbs 10. Proverbs 10, 1 to about 22:16. It doesn't have any real structure as we might define in literary. It's essentially a collection of sayings. And it is the first and largest collection of proverbs attributed to Solomon. However, some general observations can be seen. So we have an antithetical parallelism, which is a contrast, and you can see that in verse 1. We have Hebrew numerology. So that's this. So the vocabulary is of Hebrew isn't as expansive as, let's say, Greek in the ancient world, right? So numbers will take on meaning to help with that, and more than we might think of if we're just in a American or a Western perspective. 4 would be 4 things, but 4 could also be the breadth of Earth, the north, south, east, west, the 4 points. And that's very true here with the numerology. So, for example, there are 375 sayings, and that corresponds to the numerical value of Solomon's name, because each of his letters, and they have consonants, no vowels, each of those consonants has a certain number, a numerical value attached to it. We're going to see righteousness and wicked contrast. In a chiasmus, that's a figure of speech in which the grammar of one phrase is inverted in the following phrase, such that 2 key concepts from the original phrase reappear in the second phrase. So we'll see that in verse 4. He became poor that dealeth with a slack hand, so it ends with the hand, but then it picks up, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. So there was an AB, and then there would be a BA. But it's a contrast, because then we were talking about poor and rich.
Right.
And slack, being lazy, and diligent, hardworking. There's alliteration, beginning of a repeating sound, and nominal juxtaposition, that nominal for names and persons' names, and juxtaposition. So that would be, we could see that in verse 5 or verses 13, 14, and juxtaposition of nouns in verse 15. Okay, that's, I think, the academic aspect of it. Why don't we read it and see what our Father has to say to us?
Absolutely. Do you want me to read it now or in the next one?
Do you know? Let's do it in the next one, because I can see we're at the top, and then we can just go into it.
Okay.
Good question. Thank you. All right, my friends, till then, fides, Horatio.